Right, my friends, look, there's a lot of unpacking to do here this evening, isn't there? We're going to be talking about the breaking news. We're going to be asking, is it realistic? We're going to be asking, is it the right move? And lots of other bits and pieces. So, before we get stuck into it, I'm just going to give you my take on these things. And so, do you guys remember earlier on in the window, I said to you guys, somebody is going to get a bargain with Federico Chiesa. Now, I want to just make my feelings on this situation clear at the start of the stream. I don't know if this gets followed up with an offer. I don't know if Liverpool will sign Federico Chiesa, but I view this as one of those opportunistic signings that we've heard so much about. Remember when we signed Shaqiri, I think Barry it was, or somebody on X said similar type thing. That's exactly how I feel about this situation. If Liverpool can bring in Federico Chiesa for 10, 12 million pound, I think that is clever. I think, personally, that is worth the risk of his form and his injuries. This would be increased competition across the front line, and I think this is just a good piece of business, if it happens. And it is a big if. You've got lots of journalists writing about it. David Lynch has been writing on his Substack. Paul Joyce has been writing about it for The Times. And all of them just saying that this is still exploratory at this moment in time, but Liverpool's interest in Chiesa certainly is sincere at this point. Harry Klein, I can see how Chiesa fits, but feels cheap. It is. It is cheap. And I've no problem with that. Like, I've said so many times that I've never understood all the links all summer to us and a forward. And there have been many of them. But this, really, for 10 million quid, let's say, worst case scenario, he comes in, plays for us for 2 years and does okay. There's definitely a profit to be made down the line there, because you're still looking at somebody who at that point to be, what, 28? So I think if Liverpool do this, I'm right behind it. I think it's worth the risk. Just like Shaqiri, when we signed Xherdan Shaqiri, the price to me was worth the risk. Any higher wouldn't have paid it. And for Chiesa, right now, I wouldn't be looking at 30 or 40 millions, but the fact that Juventus are so keen to offload him because he's in the last year of his contract and Thiago Motta doesn't think he fits what they want, there's a bargain to be had. Said, evening Craig, hope you're well mate, totally agree with you on Chiesa. For that money, it's absolutely worth the risk, and we all know who else will love that price too. He does love a bargain, does old Cheap John, but to be fair, there's a couple of things that make me think that this could happen. Now, I don't know, I'm not saying it will, but I'm thinking about Richard Hughes and his background in Italian football and his connections in Italian football. You're thinking about the possibility of it being a good value signing, of course, as well. A player that we did keep track of years ago and flirt with putting a bid in for. Sometimes things come along that are just too good to pass up. And where I think the real stumbling block here could be on the wages. Because if he is on 180 grand a week, do Liverpool give him 180 grand a week? I mean, I'd be very surprised. I don't know if he's open to taking a cut in his wages. I don't know if Barcelona are going to be in his ear promising him the sun, moon and stars. But can they register him? Can they free up enough money? I don't know the answer to some of these questions, but the transfer fee is certainly not going to be an issue. I'd happily take Chiesa on the cheap as we need more depth and he can play across the front three. Still feel like we need at least a new left back and 2 centre backs WFM, said TOTT2KZ1. I agree that we need, for me ideally, right now as we sit with Joe Gomez at the club, I still think we need a centre back. I absolutely agree with you on the left back situation. That may depend on a last minute offer for Costas or something. The midfield situation, I don't see getting resolved between now and the end of the window unless they pull off a blinder that we're not sure of. So we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But at least we are getting some news coming out now about Liverpool actually getting their finger out and doing something. Benjamin said, I do love Chiesa, but there is a reason he's not gone. Not sure he stinks of cheap. I can't see any upside to having another Thiago. Furthermore, this doesn't solve anything. So, again, I'm not trying to say Chiesa is the best signing in the world. I just think it's worth the risk. Particularly if you see he played 33 games last year. Which means, you know, it looks like he's shaken off that ACL. You can talk about his form, absolutely. But for the right price, I think this is... I just think it's a good piece of business for somebody. And, if it's us, brilliant. Injury prone. He has had injury concerns, absolutely. Sagan, absolutely. But that's built into the equation, if you want to call it that. You know that risk straight away going in. Remember, this is a player 3 years ago was being spoken about at 100 million euro. Chiesa can comfortably play on the right. He did in the Euro, so I think he'll be used as cover for Mo. That was my thought process when I heard about the news as well, mate. And, I've been, maybe you don't know, but I've been quite vocal on the fact that we don't have any competition for Mo. Ben Doak isn't there yet. There's talk of a loan or a sale for him. And I've always said, not having competition for anybody isn't good. Even if you know you're not going to oust Mo, just knowing that if let's say Mo's numbers are looking like he's fatigued and the medical team think that he's at risk of picking up a knock or something, having the ability to put somebody in there and give him a breather in a League Cup game or at the vital part of the season where we have a big Champions League knockout game coming up or something, I think for 10 million quid, it's well worth taking the risk on Chiesa. Chiesa has played the majority of his career at right wing. For 10 million, he'd be brilliant backup to Mo. Give him rest and play the cup games, just 26 as well. Exactly, Pranav. Worst case scenario, bro, you bring him in, maybe it doesn't work out for a year or so. You're going to get your money back. You're going to make a profit on him in a year or two's time. And if Barcelona's financial situations improve, then maybe they sell them to him or to them. I just think this is a good opportunistic deal. I know opportunistic is a word that we've all mocked, including me, all summer. But sometimes there are good opportunistic deals, and this is one of them. But I don't know if it gets done. Nobody does at this point. Too injury prone. Played 33 games last year. Next. So, he had an ACL, yeah. But he played 33 games last year. Missed 12. That's not too shabby. He's 26. He's in the last year of his deal. I just don't see how it's not worth a 10 million quid punt when you're not expecting him to come in and start every game. Because he's there for cover in my eyes. So, am I the only one thinking Chiesa is a Zubermendi saga again? No. It's very different because in Chiesa you've got a club who are desperate to bring in money, who've already sent him away from the first team and told him he isn't part of Thiago Motta's plans. He's also in the last year of his Juventus contract. So, no, this is a very different one. If the player himself wants to move, and that I can't speak to, it's a very easy deal to get done. Mohammed said, are we going with the cheap option again? Well, I would say no, Mohammed, because this isn't a we need to fill position, in my opinion. This is literally the epitome of an opportunistic signing, bro. And I'm confused around midfield and centre-back, but I just think this is a good deal. I really, really do. Go back 2-3 years and you're talking about a player that was worth 80 million quid. Right now we're talking about getting him for 10 to 12 million pound because of his contractual situation. And if he's willing to make the move and is saying that wages won't be an issue, I mean, surely it's worth a punt. Problem is giving Chiesa game time. Mo won't like being sub. So on the Salah situation, look, Mo's going to be the number one. Let's be honest about that. But he's also most likely going to go at the end of the season unless something drastically changes. So we do have to think ahead as well. And let's say we stumble over getting a Salah replacement, which I'm not saying is acceptable. At least this way, if Salah picks up a knock or his form dips, we have an option. And I'm never against us having options. Especially not for this type of money.